listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So you know how people have that, like trying to find words to explain something? Like they always make jokes saying, German people always have words to I like watching you fall.
Like schadenfreude.
Yeah, there's a word.
Yeah.
So I, ordered some new underpants online, and I just ordered a bunch exactly the same. 12 pairs exactly the same.
By underpants, do you mean underwear?
Underwear, underpants, yeah.
Okay.
And I thought,
just to clarify,
they came, and then I went in to the drawer and I threw out all the old ones, and I thought, what word is this? Like the magic of just deciding that I'm through with that part of my life. Those things have served me. They're like soldiers. Like I retired them, like goodbye. You had your place, and now the new ones. And it was just so liberating, just to go in and say goodbye to them and start with the new ones. It felt like a brand new day. And I thought, maybe we need a word for that. Or am I the only one? Is this another one of these oversharing where I've said too much?
For first of all, I think Marie Kondo probably somewhere in her book has a word for that, because as part of her philosophy is to acknowledge the things that you have used, thank them for their service.
Exactly.
Yes. In your case, your underpants.
Yep.
Acknowledge their service and thank them, and then, before you let them go from your life. But I don't know what the word is, if she has one, but it is a process, part of her process.
Yes, and I think what she's getting at too is, I think there was a moment where I was just like, oh, maybe I'll just put these ones in the back of the drawer, right? Mm-hmm. In case, but no, I said, that's done. They're out, they're gone. I'll never see them again.
I do more of a integrate a few at a time kind of system. So I never had that feeling of a wholesale purge everything new.
Yeah,
and looking at your face and looking at your joy, it might be something to consider.
I'm not even reminded of the old days with those other ones. All I've got is just brand new.
Do you always replace them with the same brand, or do you try different styles and different brands?
I have now figured out exactly what it is I like, and it's made my life a lot easier.
So it's exactly the same. They're just all new.
Well, except for this time, I decided that usually I pick different colors. And this year I just decided all black. 12 pairs of black underwear. That's it.
Wow. Bold. Yeah. But what if you wear light colored pants? What's going to happen?
That I might have to get some newer ones then to think about that. But right now it's just 12 pairs of black Gap boy briefs, which I find very frustrating. And I've had this conversation on the podcast before. Just because you like something of a certain shape doesn't mean it has to be called a boy brief, right? I'm a woman.
Marketing super loves the gender binary. Mm-hmm. They can't just have them called briefs.
Nope.
Even those stupid boyfriend jeans,
boyfriend
as a style.
Boyfriend,
I
know.
I hate it all.
It's so stupid. Just because you like something a little bit bigger, and then it has to be called a boyfriend. It's anyway.
I feel like clothing companies are slowly morphing into genderless clothes. Because I see that at Uniqlo. Uniqlo has a section of things that are gender neutral. So I feel like if they're starting to do it, it's going to spread.
Well, a few years ago,
sure.
It was a big deal when I think it was a British department store just decided to make all of the kids' clothing. No, this is not the...
Yeah, it's non-gendered.
Yeah, you just walk in there and you get what you want, right? Yeah. And that's... I don't think we're quite there yet, that's for sure. Even though I buy a lot of men's clothing. I don't know why I need to call it that.
Well, consumer trends are always I don't think the market's super responsive to inclusivity, you know, like they don't really care too much until it becomes profitable for them to care. And, you know,
this
stupid
as
capitalism.
I've now found out, this is considered my podcast sweatshirt. I apologize again for wearing the same thing.
I love it.
I named it.
Yeah.
When we
Yes, you
logged
did.
on.
Because it's like, come home and I put it on. I'm so happy. But it is technically a men's sweatshirt because I bought it in the men's department.
But why?
I don't know. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. It's just like a sweatshirt that anyone can wear.
Yeah.
But I had to go upstairs I know we don't get kickback from Old Navy, but that's where I was. I was Old Navy.
We don't get kickback from anyone.
We do not.
This is a true labor of love. I mean, I guess technically I feel like AG has to produce it. So like, that's really like, if anything, we get kickback from AG because like we have to like cost her time, but like we don't because she just donates her time. And like, so AG is officially our sponsor kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess
she
so.
has to put in the work of
Patron.
producing.
Yeah.
She's our patron.
Yes.
AG, you're our patron.
Wow, that sounds fancy. You know what? Like it sounds, I think, you know, we found our segue into the movie that we're talking about because
honestly,
well
patrons,
done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Patrons are 100%.
it's reminding me of being part of the fancy class to say I'm a patron.
It sure is. I mean, wow. This was special, friends. You know what? If I am going to take a break from the podcast to do some, you know, work deadline stuff, this is the movie I want to come back on. This is like, didn't you guys just sort of, while you were watching it, thank God Andrea's going to be here to talk about this period blood sex scene?
Well, I
she
did
loves
think,
it.
you know what? That's so funny because should we say we watched Saltburn, or do you think everyone knows that we're doing that?
You know what? We'll get to it.
But yeah, I watched it about like 3 weeks ago, and then I suggested it in my ending where I like things I liked. And at the time I was thinking, I'm so sorry we're not doing this right now.
But also, last week when we had Martin Zaltz Ostwick on as a guest host, he told us that what phrase about period blood do you remember, Lisa? It's like it has to be censored from British media.
Oh, the clump? Was it a blood?
You can't say
blood clot?
Clot. Yeah,
you can't say clot. Yeah.
Well, that's shocking because, like, I am all about, you know, I'm all about the clot talk. I'm literally talking
I know.
clots all
I know.
the time.
That's what we told him.
We did.
He's like,
Yeah.
You can't say that on the air in England.
God. Well, that gives me a lot to think about. All right.
I hate to be this person, but I kind of didn't like this movie that much.
No,
That's cool. I think we're fine. Like, let's get into it. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And yeah, we're talking Saltburn. It is a real divisive film. So it does not surprise me. You didn't really like it that much, AG. Lisa, you described it as you loved it. I'm kind of, you know, like I enjoyed it, but like I'm a little also a bit indifferent to it. And I have some like criticisms of it. But there are aspects of it that I very much enjoyed. Would you like to know why I did enjoy it so much? And it's not just like the period blood scene, because that's fine, like whatever. I always want to see more of that. But so while I was like writing, I needed something that I could read that was like a very different thing than what I was writing. And I've never read any Jane Austen. I've told you that before. It's a deep, dark, you know, embarrassment of mine. So I went through the 5 or 6, I'm trying to think. It's like a collected works of Jane Austen over the holidays. And I listened to it on Audible, the Jane Austen collection. So these are the Jane Austens that I read over the holidays. So it was Pride and Prejudice and Mansfield Park, Emma, Northanger Abbey, and Persuasion.
I think that's actually all the books she wrote, though.
And Sense and Sensibility.
That's it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could be it. I don't really know because, again, I'm not well versed enough in my Austen to know if that's all her books or not. But I could have looked that up. I didn't. So sorry. So anyway, we went through all those books. I went through all those books. I was so primed from that crash course in Jane Austen for Saltburn. I feel like Emerald Fennell just was like, you know what? What if I did Jane Austen with a little bit of Ripley and then a little bit of the TV show You? And I combined all three of those together, stamped a little sloppy sex, sociopathic, pansexual fairy dust on it, and then made a film. And that's exactly what this is. And I enjoyed aspects of it so much.
Wow, that was not what I was expecting at all. Not one little bit.
I really wanted to like this movie. I like gothic stuff. I like thrillers. I like black comedy.
Yep.
But I just thought this movie was so very dumb. I'm sorry.
I don't know if maybe I was on the other side of it where I'd heard like people really hated it, but it was somehow everyone was talking about it. So I was very excited to watch it over Christmas. When it came to Amazon Prime, I was like, yes. And a backstory, though, just to say that similar to your experience with Jane Austen, I have always been such a fan of these kinds of stories with English people in mansions and, you know, being horrible to each other. Like if that's a genre, it's one of my favorites. I remember seeing Brideshead Revisited and then reading the book, which this really made me think of Brideshead Revisited more than anything else. But just like, oh my gosh, Jeremy Irons. And it was so much. And I've like memorized Brideshead Revisited. And then I went through my E.M. Forster phase. And, you know, with like Howard's End and A Room with a View and all these class movies. And so I love this stuff so much that I just like hook, line, and sinker. I was in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense for all three of us. Like, I really do. Like, completely, I get it. I'm so glad, you guys, that my grandma watched the trailer and was like, no, not for me.
Oh, yeah. That's,
I gotta say.
Yeah.
You don't want to watch that with your grandma.
No.
I dodged a bullet.
Did you see there was,
if she wanted to watch it, like.
There was a comedian in, I think it was an Irish comedian. And so this Instagram reel came through on when I was flicking through. And this was like kind of like the part 2. And here he was going, hi, everyone. I'm so-and-so. And just a reminder that I am a comedian. Things I do, if I'm like not being myself, then just assume I'm being silly. And then it went back to his original Instagram reel. He did where he dressed up in like a Christmas sweater with the family. And he made this pretend video, which was, hey, everyone, new Christmas movie. If you're bored of Elf, Saltburn is the one for you. Make sure you sit down with the whole family. It'll become a new tradition for you. So apparently, this came out of nowhere and everyone was all, oh, fantastic. And they did this. And then he put out an apology video.
I heard that there was a trend on TikTok of people watching it with their families and filming the like reactions to like the different scenes. I had not seen any of it, but I had heard about it for sure. And I thought, you know what? That sounds like a fun Christmas joke. You know, Oh, we're also going to spoil this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like,
of course, yes.
There's no way to avoid it.
Spoil it in that I'm going to thoroughly not like thumbs down it and not recommend people see it.
You just jump right. You're like, you know what? No pops. I've got nothing else to say. I'm so
no
sorry.
notes. Bye-bye.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
No, I'm so curious, like, AG, because like, so I was when I texted Lisa, I was saying like, I've heard it's got some, I can't remember exactly what the phrasing I was, but like something about the sex scenes. And she was like, well, I wouldn't call them sexy. I was like, intriguing. I was extra intrigued. And so then we're watching it and I was like, I don't know why, but like aspects of this are working for me in terms of like weird erotics. Like, you know, it's not, I'm not really that interested in like licking anyone's bathwater, but like for whatever reason, I felt that the actor deeply committed to that scene and most of the other things that he was also doing. Barry, and me and him are on a first name basis now. I don't understand the people who find him God's gift to men. Like, that's just baffling to me. But I found him deeply unappealing as well, but also an excellent actor in the
Banshees of Inisherin.
The donkey.
Yeah,
the Banshees of Inisherin. Yeah, Banshees of Inisherin. Yeah. Anyway, but I thought this like wasn't. I didn't think this was not hot. Like I thought it had elements of hotness. AG, did you find anything about its erotics successful?
I mean, no. Also, for me, it wasn't really like those are like people are talking a lot about, you know, the things that were done to be provocative, and that's gotten most of the attention for the movie. But I don't know, like I just felt like I didn't laugh at any parts of this movie. I didn't really I didn't find it funny, and it wasn't a thriller to me. Like I wasn't scared. I didn't find it suspenseful, and I absolutely hated the montage at the end where she shows you everything that he did. There's just like nothing left to the imagination. There's no mystique or like trust the audience to figure this out, or you know what I mean? Like it's just like, no, like we're just gonna do this montage. It's like that Lindsay Lohan movie that Christmas movie where they like review everything that happens just to make sure they hit you on the head with a hammer so you fully understand, because you probably haven't been paying attention. Maybe. I guess that's what they assume you haven't.
Yeah.
And they just treat you like, you know, like you're some kind of idiot at the end of the movie and can't figure something out. I just hate
this movie
that.
does not think any of us are smart.
Yeah. And I really I have similar feelings to that as I did to the Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie. Like, I don't like it. I don't like that.
I feel like the movie does not think its audience is smart, but the movie thinks it's very smart. And
yes,
it's only a tiny bit smart.
Yes.
Wow.
I
mean, it is, I mean, to be like, you know, bored, like it is what it is. It is a story about and that's, I mean, I think that to me, did we want to talk about like what's the movie's about in case anyone?
Oh God, we didn't even do the background or synopsis. Yeah. Okay, fine. Fair enough.
Just saying.
You're keeping us on track. I've had a few weeks off. I've forgotten my
I will.
I'm so sorry.
I will do the background then.
Please.
Saltburn is a 2023 psychological thriller film written, directed, and co-produced by Emerald Fennell, starring Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Alison Oliver, and Archie Madekwe. The film had its wide release on the 22nd of November before its streaming release by Amazon Prime on the 22nd of December, on which it became one of the most streamed films. It received generally positive reviews from critics and several accolades, including nominations for Best Actor, Keoghan, and Best Supporting Actress, Pike, at the 81st Golden Globe Awards. And that's from Wikipedia.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to read the synopsis. Oliver, Oscar nominee Barry Keoghan, is a scholarship student at Oxford circa 2006. Important note, actually, about that time frame, because I honestly thought it meant class of 2006. I thought it was set in 2002, and I was extremely irritated at the attempt to try and make a 20-year jump. 15 is a bit more successful. Anyway, who struggles to make friends until he does a favor that draws him into the orbit of popular aristocrat Felix Catton. When this friendship snags Oliver an invite to Felix's titular family estate for the summer, it sets in motion a series of tragic events as Oliver enmeshes himself in the Catton family. That's from Entertainment Weekly.
I mean, I will say, amongst my dislike of this movie, I did think that like Rosamund Pike and Robert E. Grant gave really great performances.
Richard E. Grant,
sorry. Gave really great performances as the parents.
Like, I thought all of them were brilliant, actually. I honestly thought all of the performances were really, really good. Like, even Jacob Elordi, like, I thought he played Felix, like, really well in that he's kind of like just a sweet nothing. And I thought the person who played the sister, Valencia, was incredible.
She was amazing, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, like I really thought all of the performances were incredibly good, and I thought it really elevated some of the other stuff that wasn't really working for me.
I don't know. I don't know why. I have no critical faculties about this movie. I sat down, start to finish, I was just enjoying it. I loved the feeling of it. I was like, I loved the, I don't know. As we said, we're going to spoil it, but I really liked the twist in it. And some people thought the twist wasn't that great. I thought it was really, really clever. And I don't know if we think we're all talking about the same thing. I think we do, right?
I'd love to know what the twist.
Yeah, I'd love to know what you think the twist was. Honestly, I don't know what you're talking about.
Finding out that he wasn't poor. Finding out that he was just from a middle-class family and that his dad wasn't even dead.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know that from the start? Obviously.
Well, I felt like what I really liked about that twist, which even if you thought you knew it, like that, I just thought what was super interesting about it was this conversation about the class system, that it's okay to be dirt poor and kind of interesting, but it's not okay to be just kind of middle working class. That's the big insult.
But
that's
also,
what makes you super plain and uninteresting.
Yeah. But also isn't this movie saying that, aren't they saying, be afraid of these people? They will ingratiate themselves into your life and murder all of you and take over your house.
Yeah, that's envy. Yeah, absolutely. They are saying that. And I think that is certain, politicians feed off of the envy of people in, classes that are below the upper. And that kind of envy and anger is real.
I mean, I feel like this movie wanted to say more about how the Catton family got exactly what they deserved, but they didn't have the guts to really go there because of the way that ingrained wealth is sort of just these incestuous ladyships and lordships that are inherited, and the generational wealth is so prevalent in England. That's why the Jane coming out of reading about Jane Austen in class for so long that's why this felt extra. I think this is what made the movie work for me, was it felt a little bit delicious because it wants to savor some of those messages, but it doesn't want to go far enough to actually really make a statement. Because it's not both the middle class and the upper class in this instance want to believe that being terribly poor and having, really, really tough upbringings and, addicted parents, et cetera, that there's glamour in that, and that inherently makes you more interesting if your trauma is specifically designed around their ideas of what it is to be poor. And I think the movie doesn't push hard enough at an indictment of both of their attitudes towards the actual people that Oliver pretends to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah. But I do think I took away that. I think I did, you know what I mean? I think I understood. And I understood also, and what I guess the montage at the end, that Sixth Sense sort of, this is what you didn't see. I think it was just interesting that Oliver knew that. He knew how to ingratiate himself just the right way to get what he wanted, which was being at the bar and pretending that he couldn't afford to pay for the drinks, that he knew as soon as Felix came up to do that. Felix loved that feeling of saving him, and people love to be the savior.
Guess so. I just feel to me, that character didn't make any sense. He's just this average person who is smart enough to go win a scholarship to Oxford. But all of a sudden in this movie, we're supposed to understand that he's a criminal mastermind who is capable of murdering a whole family.
Yeah, but that's why we watch movies. Like, I mean, that's what anybody watched the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. I mean, there are sociopaths out there, right? And that's what he was.
But like, he just lived with his middle-class family with seemingly fine, normal parents, not having any behavioral issues, and then all of a sudden just becomes a sociopath in university.
I think they hint at the behavioral issues in the home. Like when they go to that visit, like that family visit, to me, like they could have heightened the tension significantly more. But like the way that the mother is on like real tender hooks trying to deal with Oliver and like get him to stay and try to please him. Like I think she talks about how he never had any friends and he's always alone all the time. And like, the dad seems a bit oblivious and clueless, but he's pushing him a little bit more. And the mom seems to understand more about the nuances of like, they just have to let him go. Cause I think she's a little bit afraid of him. Like, I think that the movie could have played up those aspects like a little bit more. I liked watching Barry's performance as Oliver is sort of dying at being so obviously caught. Like, again, I think like aspects of it. So like, because I am related to someone who has sociopathic tendencies and has, done a lot of jail time for lying and larceny and all these kinds of things. When you see someone confronted with their like fantasy, like the lie that they have constructed, that they are trying to like con someone, like it felt a little bit real to me that might be his reaction in that moment. Like he can't stand up to Felix to say he's not going in. Like literally, I think Felix would have just picked him up over his shoulder and carried him inside the house. Like, I don't think he could have said no, because Felix was like, I'm doing this because I'm like, I know it's better for you because I'm rich. And so watching that like meltdown inside the family home was really interesting for me, but I think they could have played it up a little bit more so that they have that like that satisfaction of like, yeah, this is probably not the first time that their son has said that they were dead.
Yeah, I
or
know.
that they were doing like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like this is a repeated history and we don't get that backstory. We have to fill that in, and they don't, it's not a developed enough script.
Yeah, like we have to fill in that backstory, but we are given a montage to summarize
Well, yeah.
all those things that he did throughout the movie at the end.
Yeah.
They could have done a montage of his childhood too.
Could have, but the other thing I also, and I haven't looked this up yet, but it's just an inkling. I feel like there's a Smiths reference in this movie.
Yeah. But what is it again?
The punctured bicycle? I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Am I right about that? Do you think?
I mean, it seems to me like I thought there was a couple different references to the Smith, and I'm trying to remember what they are right now.
Oh, that was just the most obvious one that I noticed from the lyrics from This Charming Man. But I didn't Google that to see if that's true, but I felt like, so I just feel like, I don't know. I put my blinders on. Like I said, I sat there. The whole thing was just great. That's all I have.
Good. Well, let us sit here and tear it apart.
Yeah.
And just...
I couldn't.
Like,
I just felt like at the end, I was just so satisfied. I just thought, well, thank you for making that movie, because that was a good time. That was a crazy, crazy time at the movies there.
wow.
So did it work for you guys? Apparently
not.
Obviously,
apparently not for us guys here.
No, this is one specific scene that I want to know if it worked for you, because this is the scene that actually kind of it's weird, but like I was willing to like sort of like, because I was enjoying myself legitimately, and so I was like, thinking about all these different things that were working for me. I thought some of the line reads were devastatingly funny. I laughed extremely hard at some of the reactions. I thought some of the shots were really beautiful. The thing that did not work for me on any level, which is weird because this is the kind of thing I would love, is that final dance sequence where he's dancing naked through the mansion. I did not think that the actor I did not feel the joy and satisfaction and catharsis that I would expect that dance would earn if we're to understand that this has been a long con of 15 years.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed. I will say the long con is a lot for me, but yeah. It was a long one.
Of someplace he lived at for like 5 minutes when he was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, also, why wouldn't he just go and kill Papa earlier? Like, why would he just want him to, like, be driven? Like, I just don't see him as someone who was that interested in, like, watching from afar while this man slowly lost his mind to grief and, like, finally takes his own life. Like, that, to me, didn't seem that reasonable. Like, I really thought he would definitely get rid of Papa sooner. And I don't know why I'm calling him Papa. I can't remember the character's name. Anyway. And then finally, and like, just hook up with the mom, like, you know, because like they set the seed for that pretty early. Like,
I wonder sometimes, I don't know, but I was wondering, like, sometimes watching it, that was there like a scene that she cut where we would have, maybe this would have made things a bit better, where we saw Oliver see a picture of Saltburn or knew it existed and kind of made that, just was like, that's for me. That's what I'm gunning for. You know what I mean? Like, this is, the rest of my life will be committed to getting this for myself. I don't know how this will happen.
I would have appreciated that.
Okay. Yeah. I know,
something to grasp onto. Like, just something. Like, just give me a little bit of thing to grasp onto. Just a tiny, I need a nugget. That's all.
Because what we have is just that he arrives somehow at Oxford and decides that he's going to manipulate Felix by pretending his bike's got a flat tire.
You know what? That could have been added to the end montage.
Yeah. No, this is all fair.
Like, one little scene.
Yeah. No. All very fair. Okay, you put in the notes here, which is, I think, a really important thing, is that conversation about vibes.
I was going to bring that up.
Yes.
Adrian Horton in The Guardian wrote about how this movie is a vibes forward movie.
And I would agree with that. Yes, absolutely. Like, that's all I'm talking about, right? That's pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah. But it, like, this
little substance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All vibes, little substance. Because, like, you just, that, and I think, you know, that just, it fits with what Lisa was saying. Like, you just enjoyed the vibes of this movie.
I did.
You weren't looking for something that made sense, was a good story. You didn't need character development. You didn't need any of that stuff. You just wanted pretty pictures and vibes.
Yeah. And I love, like I said, I really love that British class mansion, the whole thing. I don't know why. It's wrong. That's why they exist, and it's, you know, we don't need that. But
I hate it.
I know it.
I hate all that stuff. I know that people live like that in the world, and, you know, but I just...
But have you ever seen...
see it.
Did you ever see Brideshead Revisited or read the book?
No.
Okay, well, that obviously came to me at a very impressionable age.
I did see Crazy Rich Asians, though.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see
I saw Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
And I kind of had the same reaction. Like, I don't enjoy seeing movies about, you know, how the 1% live. Even if they're supposed to be satirical or whatever. Like,
What about the fact that they're generally very unhappy? That's a staple of this world. Very unhappy.
Like, I can understand how, like, then this would not tick any boxes. Because, like, yeah, it doesn't... Because, like, they're not actually unhappy. Like, the only person who's kind of unhappy in that house is the poor cousin who gets told that, like, oh, we never consider you other, even though literally he's the only black relative and they make him ask for money all the time. They address race for 2 seconds and then go nowhere with it. And I just, like, I don't think that I think when I was thinking about it, like, whereas Austen like does interrogate class a little bit, but not as much, because she was like, I think in that time and writing about a lot of those people. And I mean, yes, she does interrogate class, like that's part of like what she does, but like it's not to the same extent that like we spend now thinking about like literally how to like when we have names for things like the 1%. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like we're in a different understanding of late stage capitalism and, you know, the real colonizer vibes of like all of England and these castles and this like, I don't know, every time a story comes up about like royalty, I get so bored so quickly. I hate royalty. Yeah, it's
and it's just like the constant barrage of this like the pointless debauchery of the 1% and the lives that they lead. It just seems so boring and long and frustrating. And this movie, I found this movie boring. Like it was beautiful. The cinematography was beautiful. I'm not saying it was an extremely well made piece of work in terms of like the technical aspects of the movie. But like there's no story. The story didn't make any sense to me. There's like nothing to grab onto. I just kept thinking like I don't understand what's the point of any of this is. And it just seemed so long. And I know like Lisa, you're the one that usually complains about length of movies.
Yeah.
But this movie felt like 6 hours long to me.
Yeah. And I was so surprised it was actually 2 hours. That was an hour and a half. It went by so fast. I'm
like the vibes are vibing. I will say like it is beautiful looking and I enjoyed the soundtrack and stuff like that. Like it took me out of it like when Oliver used the word cringe because I was like, you guys, this is 2006 or 2002. I thought it was. Cringe is not then, but I think this like Wesley Morris review in the New York Times, the last line of it is so great. And the last line of like this section that I'm going to quote right now. The movie does for quote unquote posh what Soul Plane did for ghetto, luxuriates in what it's pretending to blow up.
Exactly.
I love
that.
All fair.
He nailed it. Yeah. And that's what I hate about this movie.
And you know what? To be fair, like here's the thing about Brideshead Revisited, which I think is kind of an interesting distinction, is that in the foreword, Evelyn Waugh explains that do you know the story? Like it's very similar to this. It's just this regular man, Charles, is going to university and he meets this wealthy guy and he becomes his friend and he befriends the entire family. And they live, to be fair, the house in Brideshead is probably bigger than Saltburn in the movie, the miniseries that was on TV.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, he just becomes intricately involved, and it happens pre-World War II, it's set. And Evelyn Waugh had been injured in World War II when he sat down to write it. And he said he wrote the book basically just trying to kind of help himself through all the sadness that was going on during the war in England, all the rations and the grayness and the war. And he wanted to write something that was so not anything that he was seeing, just making things lavish and outrageous and all of that. So that makes sense. And so I would imagine both of you are asking, what's Emerald Fennell doing then? Because she's not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I was reading a little bit about it and, you know, like she went to a private school.
Yeah.
She went to Oxford.
Yeah.
You know, like she's.
Well, that's the thing. She's
part of this world, right?
Yeah.
She is part of this world and she is not critical enough of it.
Yeah.
To make the movie that I think she thinks she's making.
Yes. That's all fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't
like, that was
it wasn't made as an
sort of
antidote to something, which is what, like he said, why he wrote the story the way he did.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel like, I don't know, while I was watching it, I was just thinking like, I don't know, this feels to me like a lot of queer tropes that are not great. I feel like, did she have any consultants on this film to look at the script and see if like anything really sort of like checks out sort of with any queer person ever? Like it felt to me like a very like heteronormative perspective of the like sort of the trope of like the dangerous queer person, you know? And like just like I don't know, that worked for Talented Mr. Ripley because Patricia Highsmith queer.
Yes.
And I think like it, you know, this movie really made me want to watch The Talented Mr. Ripley.
I know, me too.
Which I've never actually seen Purple Noon. Have you? Like that's the French version of The Talented Mr. Ripley.
No, I haven't.
It's from the 60s. And it was like made well before the Jude Law and everyone. Anyway, it's the same book. Purple Noon. I don't know how you say it in French.
Oh, awesome.
Well, I mean, we could continue our year of Gwyneth Paltrow by doing The Talented Mr. Ripley at some point.
Can I just one thing that I've got to say in all of the reactions that like you've seen these videos of people reacting, I have to say I do not at all understand, especially men, why they are so grossed out by that bathtub shot. And I was just kind of like, my first thought was, well, that's a fantastic bit of, show, don't tell. And I just liked it. I just thought, wow, that's really,
really,
he's really into him.
Show, That is a show, don't tell. You're very right about that being.
I was just kind of like, this is not, I wasn't grossed out or like, that was not happening to me. So I just got to say, like, you're right.
I did not like it when he stuck his tongue in the drain, though.
Yeah.
You know what? Stuck in the bathwater, one thing. Sticking your tongue down a drain of a bathtub?
Were you worried about the injury?
A lot of nasty stuff down there.
Oh, well. Yeah.
No, I was worried about all the hair that he was touching. Do you, like, our drains? You know how much hair Carlos and I have.
Don't even.
That is disgusting.
That would make me throw up. Now that.
That's all I kept thinking the whole time. I brought my own energy to that. I'm sorry. That's my.
Oh, but also we haven't discussed the grave scene either.
Yeah, I don't know. A little graveyard masturbation. No big deal. I actually asked because
you asked someone if they've ever done that?
Watch with captions on.
Oh.
No. I mean, I know people have done that because I used to work in chat lines. But anyway,
what?
Or at least they pretend that they have. Anyway, yeah. God, you guys, I've heard some really awful things.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's fine. Like if you want to masturbate on a grave, like that's fine. Like a little dirt never hurt anyone. But I don't think it's the most lubricative. But I guess it was raining, so that's fine too. Anyway. I don't think lubricative is a word now that I really think about that. But anyway,
we all know what you meant.
Anyway. Yeah. But I will just say, like, because we watch with subtitles all the time, the subtitles were covering his body.
Oh.
And so at first I thought he was just dry humping the ground. And I kept being like, what's happening? Like, are the pants off? Is there masturbating happening? And Carlos was like, no, I don't think so. And then, like, the longer the scene went on, the more like, oh, okay, then the pants came off. Then we were able to, like, but the subtitles were covering it the entire time. So it made for an extra mystery that, AG, you might have appreciated.
Note to anyone watching, if you really want to see this scene as it should be seen, cut the subtitles during that part.
Yeah, for that section, turn off the subtitles. You don't need them.
I mean, it's fine either way. Me.
I just like the thing, I think the idea that because we see Oliver, performing grief, performing lust, performing anger, like all of these different things. And there are aspects of it that seem genuine, in their moments. And I think that they are and they can be. But then we see this sort of like the montage of the end where we're seeing how everything was like planned and ordained and he's some kind of mastermind or whatever. When, I mean, I'm hard pressed to be convinced that young man was a true mastermind. But that's fine.
Yes.
It's fine. Whatevs. I agree that it would have been nice to see him like have studied about Saltburn, have read about it, have like gone in with a plan, have like just had something there to sort of give us just a little something more.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this movie had the potential to be like trashy in a good way, but it doesn't get there. It's just kind of trashy.
Well,
and
sometimes I think though
and,
that
I mean, like it's vibes and it's nice
Yes.
to look at and all those things. Yeah, but I mean, it just doesn't kind of get to this like, oh, it's gonna be like a cult status movie because it's so cool or something. Like,
No, it won't hold up.
it'll be that thing we did over the Christmas of 2023. That's how it will be remembered, I think.
Yeah, I think like I don't know. I'm curious. I never did see Promising Young Woman. Did either of
I
you?
like that a little better than this movie. It was fine.
It looks
Yeah,
explosive.
That's
though.
not.
Yeah.
That's not a ringing.
No, it's not. No. No double bills here is what you're saying.
Well, and I also just I don't know. I was thinking a little bit like I had forgotten that Emerald like was kind of the showrunner for the second season of Killing Eve, and I just like I don't know. I think she has like a good something inside her at some point.
Yeah.
I want to see that come together. I think like I would love to see her collaborate with someone who can like really like help bring her visions to like better fruition,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And someone to talk her out of the montage seat.
But you got to wonder, like, was that, I don't know, did somebody ask for that or so? I don't know. It was pretty unnecessary, I thought. I agree
Well,
with you
that's the
there.
thing. Like someone probably maybe did ask for it, and maybe like I'm so curious about how she has had the opportunities she's had, and I mean I don't know, and I don't want to speculate that much because I don't think that's fair to her, but I just think like, and I want obviously lots more people to be making movies that aren't just like old straight white men, so I always want those to exist no matter what. But the ways in which she, I think, is getting opportunities that a lot of other folks aren't is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just say about the soundtrack, though, and that Murder on the Dance Floor? I mean, like, it's a great song, and I'm always excited when I see a song get a redo, and I just think it's great. And I love that song. And I thought it was very well chosen.
I also really loved their use of Rent. I thought the use of Rent was great, too. I mean, I love Pet Shop Boys, so I'll
it
always
was great.
be here for any Pet Shop
very
Boys
clever.
song.
That was the scene. That was
Okay,
the scene.
the soundtrack was decent.
Okay. Wow.
That's fine.
Wow.
Amazing. So I think we know where we're going to end up here, but does it pop? AG.
No, it's not good. Don't watch it.
Great. Lisa. how about
Poppin',
you?
you should watch it.
I'm gonna go middle ground here. It's a half a pop for me. I can't. I think people should watch it just because I think I'd like to talk about it with more people as well. I'd love us for all of us to just be able to.
I think
to just chat about this.
It's a 2 hours of your life you won't get back, to quote Lisa. And it will feel like 6 hours.
But if for some reason like me you binged 6 Jane Austen books over the winter break and then watched Saltburn and somehow feel a connection between the two and you want to explore that, please send me an email. I'd love to chat with you.
There's an invitation.
I really got to work out some stuff and I just don't have the mental space for it right now. So I need people to bounce off of. Well, we love to leave our episodes on something we recommend. Lisa, do you want to go first?
Sure. So just this week, the new season 4 of True Detective started. This is a pretty amazing one starring Jodie Foster, Callie Reese, and Fiona Shaw. And it's just really good. If you have been a fan, I was, of the first season. Not so much the second season. Love the third season, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to love this fourth season. So, the sort of basic idea is always some kind of unsolved murder, put two detectives together that don't want to, that clash. Kind of seems like we've seen that before, but for some reason, this True Detective series just manages to get this great acting talent and writing and everything. So this one is set in Alaska. and all during the night, and has a bit of the kind of, speaking of vibes, like The Thing, if you're a fan of that Kurt Russell movie, which was another one I watched over the Christmas holidays because I really like. So we might want to do this one because it's quite, it's got a lot of interesting things going on. So True Detective Season 4, and it is called Night Country.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice.
AG, what about you?
Well, I'm going to recommend this show we're going to talk about next week, actually, The Brother's Son. I've been
fun.
digging into it, and it is, man, I watched Saltburn and was like just in a real wretched, angry mood about it. And then I started watching The Brother's Son, and it's amazing. Michelle Yeoh, I think it's like, to me, it's my favorite thing of hers that I've seen.
Wow.
Like, it's so great.
Holy
Jeepers.
smokes.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
It's such a great series. It's about the son, this young man who belongs to a Taiwanese triad family who is attacked by this mysterious enemy, and he has to travel to LA to protect his mother and his brother, who are these kind of living this unassuming life as kind of middle class people in LA. And it's fantastic. I'm just loving it.
I'm very much looking forward to this one. So yeah,
can't wait. I am going to recommend something I've already talked about so much this episode, the Jane Austen collection. It's I specifically listened to the Audible original drama. It's 45 hours long.
Whoa.
Yep. Narrated, but here, like, listen to these narrators, you guys. Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Claire Foy, Billie Piper, Emma Thompson twice, and Florence Pugh. And it's so good. Like, aspects of it are so good. Some of the music cues are a little loud. Like, I feel like, AG, they could have really used your hand on the whole sound engineering.
The mixing situation.
Yeah, the mixing situation's a little rough occasionally. And not every book is as great as, say like Pride and Prejudice or whatever. But I still enjoyed them all immensely, and even the ones that frustrated me. And I highly recommend this collection. If you have never done Jane Austen, this is an interesting way to do Jane Austen.
Interestingly,
finally...
Yeah, I was just going to say Gwyneth Paltrow and Emma. We can't stop talking about Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, let's just...
We're going to have to do Emma later this year then, because...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued now. I thought I saw Emma like when it came out, because I've seen a lot of movie adaptations of Jane Austen, but I don't remember if I've seen Gwyneth Paltrow's Emma.
I don't think I have.
I think I have, but it was a long time ago.
Year of... You know what? It makes sense to me that we have celebrated the oeuvre of Gary Marshall, and now we're taking on the oeuvre of Gwyneth Paltrow. Two extremely important and illuminating figures in Hollywood royalty. And nepotism.
I mean, you weren't here for the past 2 weeks, but we realized that we had not talked about a Gwyneth Paltrow movie in this seemingly in the entire time we've been doing this podcast. And yet she's been this like huge, like cultural entity, like since the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, I think we did great. That's incredible. Like, honestly,
I do love bone broth.
Years.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't. But that's one of hers. And a good IV. Oh, what I wouldn't give for a good IV.
I will hold Goop against her until my dying breath. But I'm interested in seeing Emma.
Okay, fair enough.
There's a little thought thing there. Hey, yeah.
Yep, it's a cool nesting doll of contradictions in my brain. Well, it's so nice being back, friends.
Well, I'm so glad to have you back.
Yeah, it was nice having you back.
Yeah,
nice to have me.
We got the band back together.
I'm not coming back
good.
again, obviously.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You can rate and review us 5 stars.
Always 5 stars. And thank you to Andrea Gin, our co-host and producer, and makes it sound like better than Saltburn, I guess, would be the way we should end
patron.
Our patron, yes.
Our patron.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about... the Carey Mulligan character.
Oh my God, wait, the Carey Mulligan character is one of my favorite things in the whole movie. Honestly, Pamela almost killed me. I loved her so much. I loved Pamela so much. What an incredible, like, if that's what we get from Emerald Fennell because her and Carey Mulligan are now BFFs, fine.
Much better part for poor Carey Mulligan than seeing Maestro. Woo! Okay, anyway, that's my thought.
Incredible. Okay. I love this take. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.